The Oklahoma City Thunder, OKC, have won 9 of their last 10 games and are currently on a 7-game winning streak as of March 9th after defeating the Denver Nuggets on Sunday 127 to 103. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the undisputed NBA MVP, of the NBA season? And do you guys think they are a lock for the NBA Finals?
I don't know about Shea being a lock at MVP. Definitely a top 2 contender. To me, it's still Joker right now. That historic 30-20-20 game, coupled with everything else that he's done this season, we never seen a playmaking center this efficient in the playmaking department. Right, we've seen centers get 30 points, 20 rebounds, but we've never seen him get assists at this rate. And what he's doing, where did I have him in the power rankings? Number 1. There's a reason why he's number 1. Shea is definitely right there at number 2. Ken, and are they a lock for the finals? I can't say a lock, but they should definitely be a heavy favorite. But I can't say a lock, Ken. Mainly because of their youth. I don't know if y'all saw this post over the weekend, but their average age is just a year and like 0.2 more than Auburn.
Yeah,
Auburn starting
that's crazy.
Auburn is crazy, right? Like we're talking about an NBA squad and we're talking about the whole starting 5. Auburn's squad is averaging 23 years of age in their starting lineup. OKC's 24.2. And that's including the oldest player in Shea. I can't remember who the other oldest player, but they're both 26. Everybody else is 22 and 23 years old. So for me, it's their experience that's going to hold them back. Right. I said that last year. I didn't, as good as they were, I didn't think that they were going to be able to get through certain matchups and they weren't able to. And I think it's the same thing this year. I think it's one more mango season before we can pencil them in and be like, okay, perennially, this is the team that's going to get to the finals. As good as they are, Ken, I don't know if this is the year where we're penciling them in like that.
I think we can pencil him in as the MVP, and the only reason is voter fatigue for Joker. I'm with you though, as far as how good Joker's playing FIFA, but you know how they do it. They did the same thing to Lamar. Lamar had an out of world experience season in football, but they gave it to Josh Allen. It's going to be the same thing in the NBA. You're going to see it being not, and it's not like he is undeserving. It's just that gives him an edge is the fact that he's not had multiple ones before, and they don't want to seem like it's a Joker award. So they're going to give it to him. As far as being a lock for the championship, for the finals, absolutely not, because you still got to go through Denver regardless. And, I know Denver, was beat last year, but I think that team, when it matters most, you will see Joker step up, and you'll see Jamal Murray hit some shots. So it's still it's a young team, and they got to get going down the stretch and stay hot as they are now.
Ken, I hope you're gonna say something that's gonna echo what I was about to say. But
I was gonna ask if it mattered more last year, Shelton.
It didn't. It didn't at all. It didn't at all. It didn't at all. It didn't at all.
All I was gonna say is that I think
these are insane takes, but keep going.
I always go with the my rule, and I know the NBA broke this rule, but my rule was best player on the best team. That's who goes for the MVP, and that's why I think SGA is a lock for the MVP. I think FIFO, to me, two things can be true, and there's two different arguments. Like, is SGA the best player in the league? No. But is he the MVP? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Joker, to me, is the best, currently right now, is the best player in the league based off of stats, based off of you take him off Denver. I don't think they're even a top 5 team in the West, maybe even bottom, maybe even a play-in team. I don't know, because the Jamal Murray shit, I think has eroded from that championship run. I don't really view. I think he can still pop off here and there, but I don't trust him. Joker is still the only all-star on the team. Like, since all that, with all being said, so I think they still have a good squad, and I think they still be a good playoff team. But Joker is really the suns, moon, and stars for that whole franchise. But SGA's balling out right now. I watched most of that game on Sunday, and at first Denver started off hot. Denver was coming out hot, but like obviously these days you can go up 30 points in a quarter, and then by the end of the fourth quarter you could lose by 20, which it seemed like that's basically what happened in that game. But It's interesting y'all say that the Thunder isn't a lock when they're the number one team in the whole damn NBA. They got the MVP, yet none of y'all, the quote unquote basketball experts, and I don't know about the chat, but y'all, it just seems like no one believes that they're a really good contending team. Like, and the West is wide open. The West is wide open. The West is the most open.
That's two different things, though, Nick. Just because I say they're not a lock doesn't mean I don't think they're a favorite. It's two different things. Yeah.
No, I mean, what's the difference between a favorite and a lock?
Lock means that we know what they are. They're guaranteed. They still have to prove what they are. Yeah. They didn't prove it last year. And everything that I said last year still applies to them this year until they get over that hump. Now, I'm not saying that they can't, because they've shown how talented they are. And like you said, they have a potential MVP candidate on the squad. Now, here's the thing. I want to stay on the MVP candidacy. You said the sun, moon, and the stars, right? You want to say best player on the best team. I look at it more so the player that you remove, what team falters the most. And you made my argument for me. You take Joker off of the Denver Nuggets, we don't even know if they're a playing team. OKC, I believe, is a playing team at minimum without Shea. At minimum. They're still talented. I understand that their second best player, Chet, isn't there, but Lou Dort, the other youngin, Jalen something, Williams.
Yeah, Birdman brother.
They play defense, right? At nothing else, we know that they are going to get defensive stops. I think that when you get defensive stops, you get easy buckets. They'll be able to make a play-in type of game without Shea. What puts them at number one is Shea. But you take Joker off of that squad, it's crazy.
I think it's about the same similarly. I do think that OKC has more depth and they're youthful, so they will probably be like a 9 to 7 seed. I think Denver will definitely be within 10 to 7 range. But I think it's really about the same, because to me, SGA is the heart, soul. Use your phrase that you always like throw out there: the heart, soul, the head, the legs, the arms, everything for that team. Because I don't see anybody who can really consistently get their own shot as they're being double teamed or as they're being the focal point of a defensive assignment like SGA on the Thunder. And I know everybody always talks about Chet. I don't know how many people have said anything about Chet for real. That motherfucker really just turned into is he even the Jaren Jackson of his team? I don't know who it is. I think everybody moved on to somebody else. So to me, it's just like, if you take SGA off, it's almost similar like Joker. But the only thing is they're winning right now. They're on pace to probably win over 62, 63, 65 games, which will be the best in the league. To me, the reason why I was asking like the favorite versus the lock is like we're splitting hairs when we're talking about that. Like, I don't see how there's not. Again, I know I have my takes on the West, because that's how I feel. The West is just irrelevant compared to the East when we're gonna get to the team as far as Boston.
But Nick,
I just don't see. I don't see anybody consistently that. I don't see a team right now based off what y'all telling me, based off what I'm seeing, that you would say like, okay, they can easily take out the Thunder.
Well, but at the end of the day, you talked about Jamal Murray and him proving it. In the playoffs, you don't have to question Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has the biggest disparity between regular season performance and playoff performance in the history of the NBA. You want to know who's second? Is Jimmy Butler. So certain guys you just don't necessarily have to question in the playoffs. But what have the Thunder proven? Have the Thunder proven that they can make it to the Western Conference Finals? You know what I'm saying? Have they proven that they can make it to the final? They haven't proven that yet. Because they're so young, that's still a knock against them until they can prove that they can make it past.
Well, I think that the timeline that you always usually try to go off of, as far as saying like a team got to get beat up early and then they'll learn how to be a better team and move forward as they progress. Mm-hmm. I think that's accelerated now, because if you look at Minnesota last year, if you even look at Dallas last year, like, even though we could talk about Dallas, they had their lumps, but Minnesota, they just ended up they took it because they wanted it. They wanted it more, and you could argue who wants it more than OKC. Everybody's still down OKC, just like y'all are. I am still, as far as them being actual like winning the whole thing. But if I'm having to make a case as a lock, if I had to put money down, bread down, I would have to say it's OKC, because it's just like because who in the West is really that deep?
But OKC is the same thing as Minnesota, right? Like, and here's the thing: I chose Minnesota, but Minnesota didn't prove anything. We seen Luka Doncic prove solo handedly that I can get to the Western Conference Finals. He went there before he got Kyrie. We know what Kyrie is when he got to the finals, and every time he gets into the playoff runs, we know Kyrie is a proven commodity. And then they went there against the young Minnesota Timberwolves that everybody picked. And what happened? They didn't prove it. The same thing with OKC. Until they prove it, Nick, I don't believe it. Now, again, talent-wise, they arguably have the most talent in the league, but they're so young, they gotta prove it. And here's the other thing: look at Boston. How long did it take? In Boston, in my opinion, more talented, and they had more mango seasons than OKC, and it took them longer to knock down that door. So again, okay, I love OKC, and they are a favorite, but to pencil them in, and also to say that the field can't get them, I can't say that definitively.
Q, who is your MVP in the NBA right now? And would you agree that the Thunder are a lock for the finals?
Who's my MVP? Hold up, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Hold up, the audio kind of look fucked up. Let me see this. How about now? Let's try that. My MVP, my heart tells me that it should be SGA. My head tells me it should be Jokic. I think that those are the only two right now. And are they a lock to come out of the West? I'm not a huge OKC truther like that. I'm not an OKC truther in that sense that I just don't bet on youth to take the leap right now. I think that they have to go through maybe 1 or 2 more years of like just getting there, and they might get over that hump. But
who's stopping them? Who's gonna stop them? Who would you say like legit?
I believe in the pedigree of Jokic. And I believe in Mike Malone as a coach. I believe that LeBron James and Luka Doncic are gonna they're an absolute terror. I've been telling people as soon as that trade happened that if this pans out, and then we started to see it pan out, I said a couple of pods ago that I got them in the finals. Like that's my finals pick. But I like the Lakers.
You saw what happened on Saturday, right? LeBron busted his nutsack trying to keep up with them young boys. You think he could do that against OKC?
I mean, well, the good thing is that Boston is not in the Western Conference. So,
but I'm just talking about the youth. OKC can run up and down the court, though.
I don't think that.
But that's not playoff basketball.
I don't believe that OKC's youth can outdo Luka and LeBron on the perimeter, and plus their IQ is just it's greater than anything that you can put against OKC. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron's IQ and the way that he can just walk teams down, the way that OKC struggles with perimeter creation, because Kyrie and Luka tortured those boys last year. And I think that you put LeBron next to Luka Doncic, and then the way that the defense is playing for the Lakers, the way that Denver is just their pedigree, the way that they can think the game and they can walk you down with Jokic. Those are my only two that I will say should put fear in OKC's heart.
The thing about OKC in the playoffs is, you talk about their speed and their athleticism and their youthfulness. Yeah, those are all advantages OKC, but let's be honest, playoff basketball is all about matchups and it's all about slowing down the game. And the most dangerous thing about this Lakers squad with LeBron and Luka, and obviously LeBron got to get healthy, is this, and I've talked about it. They don't have front court premier size, right? Like in the center and power forward positions. However, they have premier size on the perimeter. And what is SGA's biggest advantage against the majority of the guards that he plays? He little boys them, puts them in the post, gets them in the mid range, dominates them physically, and does whatever he wants to do. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But he can't do that against the Lakers. I'm gonna throw Rui Hachimura on you, dog. That dude's 6'7", 6'8", uber athletic. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to get yours. You're an MVP candidate, but it's going to be tough matchups. You know what I'm saying? Lou Dort, all of them guys that typically have a physical advantage, They're not going to have one
But
against
you-
the Lakers.
But you should also know, based off the obvious coaching thing that I would do, that I'm sure that we don't even know who the hell the head coach at OKC is, kid. I don't know if you know the name, but I would just say, like, to your point, FIFO, if they put Ruri on me, what you know the first thing I'm gonna do? Switch to Luka, who can't even guard a goddamn he can't even guard his own house. You know what I'm saying? He can't even guard his own, he can't even guard the fridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like,
He ain't trying to guard the fridge.
You know what I'm saying?
Go to his own.
I'm just saying, like, we always talk about these one things, Shelton, as far as like, oh, if you do this, then it's gonna make it a little bit hard. First of all, ain't nobody scared of Ruri. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck either. I'm more scared of the hibachi restaurant than Ruri. So let's move off of that. And even then, if you have a good defender, we're gonna switch. That's it. And then we're gonna cook like that. That's what we just saw this on Saturday.
But I think that comparing Boston, who just won a championship, to OKC is not a one-to-one analogy, because you have really, of course, OKC, they have really long defenders just like Boston does, but Boston's connectivity and their pedigree of just winning a championship, they've done it before. They've been there twice. They've won one. OKC doesn't know what it feels like to get walked down by Luka and LeBron in the fourth quarter, 3 games in a row. Like, I would bet that series would probably go OKC's up like 10 to 12 points at any given point in the game. In the last 5-6 minutes, LeBron hit a 3, find Rui in the corner, Luka step back 3, and they're winning by 3-4 points, barely escaping. And then we're going to be looking up, and it's 4-2 Lakers. And I just think that that's true for them, and that's true for Jokic, being able to like pick apart.
Hold on,
real quick, people. Q, do you believe that LeBron can last a 7-game series running up and down the court with OKC?
Yeah, man, he got that fucking Germany package, man. It's all good.
Yeah, you're gonna slow the game down.
It's all good, man.
Possible.
Nick, you also talked about
that Barry Bonds shit.
You talked about timeline. Boston's timeline, they've been able to add players through free agency, draft, and other aspects, right? Like they've been able to take advantage of every aspect of making that team better. OKC hasn't yet. I talked about it last week, where all of these draft picks that they have, they're not going to be able to draft and use them all. So it's in OKC's timeline, it's about time to make a trade, come off of some of these assets to go get a more established veteran to help this young squad get over the hump. Because again, youth doesn't win championships. And when you go this route, you need to add wily veterans that have been there, done that, keep those young guys calm, calm and collected in those clutch moments to get over that hump. You look at every single situation where the base of the talent was drafted, they didn't start winning until they started making external moves. Look at Golden State. They didn't win until they started making the Iguodala moves, right? Like all of those exterior pieces that come in and add that extra sauce to the squad. OKC isn't even there yet in their timeline.
What's that, Spike?
Spike ain't got shit to say.
Oh, okay. I was just checking in. I just wanted to check in to see.
I was wondering why we talked about this so long, to be honest with you. Like, that's what I was.
Spike said, get a ball, Parsons.
Yeah, get a ball, Parsons. Let him run the ball.
Go ahead.
I think that to answer the question, I do think that SGA is a strong candidate for MVP. I think that he's been doing his thing this year. He got his team where they need to be. And I do think that they will be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. I don't think that old standard that we have of, you got to go into the playoff and take a couple losses and bumps and bruises before you're able to get to where you need to be. I think that this team is ready now. When Chet come back, I think SGA is that good. They can beat Denver. They can beat the Lakers. They can do those things. I think that SGA is that good, and he is a legitimate MVP candidate.
I think they should beat those teams. I don't disagree with you. I think this will be, and he will get the MVP this year. It's because they should have given it to him last year, so they're trying to make up for it again this year. So the same thing they did to Embiid. I do. Chet does be in and out. Like He may be playing now, but he be missing random games for nothing. And I say nothing. I know it's legit injuries, but you guys know what I mean. But my thing is this: when I go here, because I think they should be a lock to go to the finals.
Thank you.
I understand what you guys are saying, but they're winning 80% of their games. That guy, Mike, whatever his name is, Denault, it's crazy he's even still around, Nick. With as bad as they were, we should have known his name because when he started, they were 22-5, 22-50. The year after, 22-58, and then they started to turn things around with 40-42, 57-25, and now they're 53-12 this year. And if you look at the numbers, they've gotten better each year that he's been there. So I would like to believe that they learned from losing in the Western Conference semis last year, and they will take that and come back and finish the job this year. There are leaps and bounds. It looks like better than everybody else in the West. It's not even close.
But Ken, their vet is Hartenstein. Their vet is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at 26 years old. Ken, that age group doesn't get you championships.
Why
and
not?
The rest of the guys are younger.
Why not? Why can't it this year?
History.
Why can't this year be different?
Ken, because you're talking about an anomaly, and that typically doesn't happen. We've seen it with Boston, we've seen it with Golden State, we've seen it time and time again where at this phase they're not getting over the hump. I'm just taking history, Ken, regardless of how good they are in the regular season. Okay, the first version, the Big Three version with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant, 3 MVP guys. It took them forever. And once Jordan they got there, they lost. They lost the Big Three of the
Jordan
Miami.
Was 27. Jordan was 27 when he won his first ring.
We have to be, and normally it's 27, 28. That's when you're in the full.
That's where SGA is right now.
I believe that.
Well, hold on, but you wanted to talk about the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, Jordan was 27, but how many veterans did he have on that roster? His second best player was obviously Scottie Pippen. But how many veteran guys was on that roster? Everybody else was younger
than him.
You think he was a veteran?
No, there weren't no veterans.
I mean, they had like Paxson, Lou Longley, all them guys.
It's just like the OKC situation, as in the sense of SGA was the leader of the team. He's 27 years old, and I got these strong powers around me, and we set up to win a championship. If no other year other than this year, this is the year that they should take the run.
That's what I'm saying.
This is like Jordan and the Bulls in 91.
And Boston had pressure on them. Tatum and Brown had outside pressure.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is 26 years old. He turns 27 in July. So after the finals, hopefully, you know what I mean? So the problem that we have here is when you're 27, 28 in basketball years, those are the years where you come into your full power as just a man, and you come into your full control as an athlete. You understand, you have enough experience to be a veteran, but you have enough youth to still have years ahead of you and enough athleticism left in the tank. So that's why guys like Jordan, you know what I'm saying, guys like Curry, they don't get it when they're 25, 26. That's an outlier because there's just something about thinking the game differently, having seen multiple situations. Playoff basketball is totally different, and clearly it's different even more so now when these guys don't take the regular season that seriously, which I think can not negate your point, but I think it kind of complicates your point because OKC's playing for home court. They're in the chase. They're in the pursuit of, okay, we're young, let's be great, we can run all day and all night. But when you look at the Jokic's of the world and you look at the LeBron Jameses and Luka Doncic's of the world, if you're OKC, you can't just be like, well, we won 80-some, we're winning all these games. Like, fuck out of here. That's not how that works. Because Boston had Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, who Drew won a championship. Porzingis is 10 years in the league at this point, if I'm not mistaken. You have Al Horford, you know what I mean? And you can go down the line of veteran guys along with JB, who I think just turned 27, and Tatum is still 26. So you have a good mix of that. When you go to OKC, their oldest guys are Alex Caruso, Hartenstein, and that's not enough, in my opinion, to buck history and to buck the trend.
Exactly. So look, Spike, I
It's
pulled
yeah,
up
that
both of the rosters. The oldest player or the longest tenured player on the OKC roster is 6 years. They have 3 guys: Shea Gill, Kenrick Williams, Alex Caruso, and Hartenstein. Hartenstein 7 years in the league. Everybody else, the next oldest player by how many years they've been in the league is Lou Dort with 5. Everybody else is 1, 2, or 3, bro. And then when you look at the Bulls roster of the 1991 Bulls roster, now what's crazy is just the amount of people that's on the roster. It was way smaller back then, which is crazy to see looking at both of these rosters back to back. But Bill Cartwright had 4 years over Jordan. Craig Hodges had 2 years over Jordan. Cliff Livingston had 2 years over Jordan. Paxson had a year over Jordan. So we're talking about guys that all got major minutes. Bill Cartwright was the starting center, right? John Paxson hit big shots in their first three-peat. All throughout the playoffs, hit big shot after big shot after big shot. Starting point guard for that team. Who else did I say?
It doesn't matter.
But at the end of the day,
my main thing is this.
wondering.
My main thing is this, bro.
It sounds like excuses to me, Nick.
Exactly.
it's not excuses.
Because all last year and going into this year, I've been hearing nothing about OKC this, OKC that. Why aren't we talking about OKC more? Why aren't we respecting SGA? And then Ken, when I come up in here and make the case like they should be a lot, they got the best record. They blowing teams out. They blowing teams out like Denver. I think the Lakers are super overrated as much as people want to give them credit for. They should have lost to the Knicks if they didn't try to kill Brun like they did Mufasa and Lion.
They had a double-digit lead, Nick. That was the Knicks' fault.
Well, we can't. It was listen. I'm just saying.
Didn't steal the deal.
Brun got hurt. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, LeBron got hurt, and they was down 4 in Boston. LeBron got hurt.
And Boston was playing with their food when they was up by damn near.
So now they're playing with their food.
Well, we know that Boston always does that.
Dun. It's if man. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Playing with they still won. I'm just saying they still won. We're gonna see how the rest of this Lakers team. I mean, the Lakers just lost to the Nets. You know what I'm saying?
LeBron, you can't. They were missing 4 starters, and you can't.
They got a super. Again, FIFA just told me a few weeks ago they got a top 5
It's
superstar.
different without LeBron, bro.
Listen,
we can only put so much stock in regular season.
All I'm saying is my main point is, like Lou said, if not now, then when? This is the West is more than wide open, bro. It's barn door open. Like
It's not though. It's not really wide open. It's not.
And OKC.
What makes you say that, Q?
Because you make that trade.
Because I would have to see how their offseason goes for me to really fully agree with FIFA, but I'm not actually against that approach of getting an older guy to come in. But to me, the answer here for Spike's question is because I like what the Warriors have got going on. I like what I see with them getting Jimmy. It allows for Steph's gravity to actually mean something when a guy can go get 25 plus on his own. I think that the Lakers are really dangerous, and I think that JJ Redick is evolving as the season goes on, and their defense is only going to get better. Of course, we need to see how LeBron comes back from that injury, but I feel like they'll be fine. They might end up getting the 5th or 6th seed if they drop a little bit, but they're a dangerous 5th or 6th seed. And then Denver, bro. I just saw we keep harping on regular season, but it's funny how we don't talk about Denver just smacked them. You know what I mean? Yesterday, I think it was 140 to 125. So Jokic's ability to make everyone better, and I think Aaron Gordon's out again. I think he got hurt a little bit or nicked up, but just Mike Malone and the way that they can pick you apart with just DHO, the way that they can pick you apart with just interior, passing with Russ and Jokic. I think that it's not a lock. It can't be a lock if you're. I ain't
saying it's a lot. Real quick, I ain't saying it's a lot, but I do have a question before we move on. with what you just said, Q, you're telling me, I want to understand this right. You don't think SGA is that good then, right? Like,
I
because you
think
name
Mhm.
older players, you name like legacy players. I get that those people do have a chance, but I do think that it's SGA's time right now to take advantage of it, similar to what we spoke about with Jordan in 1991. I think he has the opportunity to do that, but you're saying that all of these older, more established players and different teams have a better chance than he does. I don't see how that's possible.
because I don't necessarily think that the teammates around SGA are comparable to the teammates and the pedigree that the other teammates on those teams have. Like I'm talking about the Aaron Gordons, the Jamal Murray's, guys that can go get you, you know what I'm saying, a bunch of dunks, and then a guy can get you 50 in Murray, and then Jokic on top of Mike Malone's coaching, like I'm talking about. Luka Doncic and LeBron James are liable to go nuclear or to put up a triple-double together, or, you know what I mean, a massive triple-double, one either of the same. And then you're looking at Curry, who can just assault you with threes. And Jimmy Butler, if he gets pissed off enough, you know what I'm saying? I'm not betting against playoff Jimmy being a thing ever. Y'all already know how I feel about Jimmy. So I'm not saying that OKC can't do it. I just don't think that SGA, the way I value him, it's not like, and I'm pose a question to all y'all. Do y'all see SGA in that same tier as when you saw Russ, Harden, and KD going to the finals, or when you saw D Wade get to the 06 finals? Or I think he's a fantastic player, but those guys I saw, these are some of the greatest players I've ever seen. And of course, SGA is putting up one of the best guard seasons. But do you view him as like, man, this guy's pantheon potentially? I don't know if I see that yet.
This is insane. This is really insane because I don't know what the fuck y'all saying right now. Because I got two things. One, you are talking about the yesteryears of the Golden State Warriors. I love Jimmy too, but they wouldn't be good without Jimmy, which means they probably not good with Jimmy. They're not gonna be great with Jimmy. Is what I'm trying to say. And two, you talking about a 40-year-old man who can't keep his nuts together and a fat white boy that you think is gonna drag the Lakers to the prom or has the potential to drag the Lakers to the promised land is insane with no defense and with the tallest nigga being
like
Rui
the number one ranked
Hachimura.
defense over the last month.
Okay, that's in the regular season, like you mentioned. We don't really care about that.
So we can talk about LeBron.
And then the only team that I would listen to is Denver because they do have the best player in the fucking league. But outside of that, when we're talking about top down and then the season that they're having, it's like, how can we not say that? Otherwise, then what's the point of us even discussing these niggas if all y'all are giving me credit points of why they're not probably not going to make it? And you're using youth and durability as against them. It doesn't.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make it quick because we need to move on. But I do want to come back to your question if we have time in the rest of the program, because it's a very interesting question you just asked, and it's a bit of a slight to SGA. So
I don't think it's the hell out of him.
I don't think it's a slight at all. I think it's just a real question.
That compliment was on your backhand.
It was like
I wasn't complimenting him in that sense. I think he's a great player. I don't view him as like pantheon.
You don't think he's special?
I think he's special. I don't think he's pantheon. There's a difference.
Okay, all right.
The difference between a girl being bad and one that's going to marry. You feel me?
I was just about to say, Q. I was like, I hope you don't talk to your girl like you ain't special.
There's a difference between a girl you trying to holler at and a girl you trying to marry. It's simple, bro. Like you know who's the one.
Special, but you ain't pantheon, baby girl.
Like, come on, bro. Y'all know what that shit was like when you saw LeBron in 07? It looked different. Like, yo, this is one of the greatest players I've ever seen.
Those are Mount Rushmore niggas. Like, we ain't got you ain't got to be Mount Rushmore.
D Wade, him dunking. Like, you saw it.
You ain't got to be Mount Rushmore to win a title. Look at Kawhi Leonard.
But here's the thing. Kawhi was on a Mount Rushmore trajectory in terms of his talent. His body just failed him. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the guys, because somebody brought up a good point in the chat that normally all-time great players have an early run where they get to the finals before 28 because they have to learn how to lose, like Luka. Like, you know what I'm saying? I believe that. The difference for me is when I look at SGA in his game, yes, statistically, he's having one of the greatest seasons of a guard we've ever seen. But there's just a certain thing with the eye test for me, and I could be ignorant to anybody who watches a lot more OKC than me. But when I see him, I see a really special player, but I don't see a player that is so special. Like, bruh, seeing KD go to the finals against the Heat, seeing LeBron go to the finals against
All right,
the
we got our
Spurs.
cue.
You know what I'm